Sage Wonder coming at you from my van in my own backyard. So it is good to be home. Okay, so November 4th, the Great American Hoax. Not the Great American Bloodbath, the Great American Hoax. Now, one of my favorite sayings about wilderness survival is that people who die in the woods, their real cause of death is that they die of shame. That they are ashamed of all the mistakes that they made that put them in the position they find themselves in. And instead of hunkering down, focusing, and finding a way out, they just wallow in their own shame and waste valuable time and resources trying to figure out what they did wrong instead of trying to plan for an escape and a future. So I'm not going to waste any time worrying about how come or why I fell for this giant hoax. I do find comfort in the fact that I'm not the only one who fell for this hoax. That even our own military fell for this hoax. You know, those phone calls I got were real, and they were real warnings. And so rather than wallowing in the failures that, you know, we predicted something and we were preparing for something and we were getting ready for something that never happened, I want to look forward and see what is coming next. Because I do know that there is an open plot of rebellious resistors who want to overthrow the government and get rid of Trump, and they want to take all the guns away. I mean, this is what they want to do. They are real. Many people on the right, famous right-wing conspiracy news networks, have spent most of their time since this turned out to be a hoax just talking about how impotent that Antifa is and how ridiculous they are and how they're just a bunch of LARPers. And I think that they've fallen for the second deception of this big hoax. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I'm kicking your ass. That's a family saying. The third part anyway. But I'm not buying the second deception because I believe that was one of the biggest purposes of the November 4th hoax, was to make us all think that they were incapable of pulling this off. Honestly, it was a drill, and we were not in on the fact that it was a drill. We thought the fire alarms were real and that we had a genuine fire to deal with. This was by design. I have not made a video since it became clear that this was a hoax because I have been deep in thought. I realized that many of us were playing checkers when Antifa and the left-wing rebellion was playing chess. Many of you said that this will be a hoax because it will ferret out and make clear, busy. Now that I'm home, I got lots of visitors. That this would ferret out and expose our preparations and expose what would happen if they did try to do what they were planning. One of the things in the warning that I got that was very real from my military family members, it was 2-pronged. One is don't go downtown, and the other one is don't let them take your picture. I've been thinking a lot about that. Here's what I think the 2-pronged purpose was for the giant hoax. That it served a purpose, and that it actually came at a pretty high cost. So the purpose that it served must be significant. I don't believe they're playing checkers, and I don't believe they're impotent. I don't believe they're incapable. I believe they played us all quite well. They played us all quite well, myself included. I will wear the fool's hat. I was fooled. I won't be fooled again. To quote one of my favorite rock songs. So, what are the 2 things that I believe were behind this? Number one, I've kind of alluded to. They wanted to find out what we would do. They wanted to find out what side you were on and what side I am on. And they also wanted to identify all of us. And this is why my family members said, don't let them take your picture. So one of the things that I noticed is that nobody listened to me, and everyone on the right went out there to face them face to face. The most militant among us showed up and dared them to do anything. And Antifa, the ones that did show up, and the Refuse Fascism group that showed up there, to me, that was their C string. That was their B string. That was their second string. That was not their grade A combatants. I've seen real Antifa, what real Antifa looks like and how they act and how passionate they are. And these people that showed up there, when interviewed, they couldn't even give a good answer as why they were there. And I believe most of those people that showed up were paid to be there. And that none of them were the true activists. The true activists were sitting at home wargaming this and watching it on television and YouTube just like the rest of us. And that they were gathering information. I do believe that within the crowd were lots of unmarked plainclothes Antifa who were videotaping, taking pictures, and trying to establish documentation of all of the more radical of us who had the guts to show up down there, because those are the people they would probably have to fight first. And they want to identify them so they can take those threats out before they act, when the real day comes. My mother showed up this morning before church, so excited that she was about to just bust. And she came and told me that God had given her a message. And she said that, the real day is coming. The real day is coming down the road. And that this was just to make us all afraid. She told me how elderly members of my family who had nothing to do with this were receiving texts and emails and just randomly contacted with violent threats and, things designed to make them afraid. And she was quite puzzled, because they don't really understand the technology, as to where these notifications were even coming from. I'll do some investigation on that, but I suspect it's just email blasts and kind of like using the same kind of method. And if any of you have had this experience, let me know. And she said, they're just trying to scare us. It's to make us all huddle it down in fear. Actually, I think the reverse is what they accomplished. They made themselves look like fools. They made themselves look like they were incapable. They made themselves look like LARPers. One of the greatest victories the devil ever had was to convince you that he was a mythical character with horns and a pitchfork and a pointy tail. Like the little deviled ham character. I don't know if you're old enough to remember deviled ham. But the little cartoon character of a devil, yeah, because there's a real live devil, and he don't look nothing like that. But he made himself into a joke to put us all to sleep. This is prong one of Antifa's method. They made themselves a giant joke. The other prong of this was to dox us all, to take your picture, to find out who would stand against them, even with this immense threat that was laid out there of so much bloody violence, and who would sit back and wait and see. No, civil war is still coming. This is just the first round in it, and unfortunately we've all been playing checkers while Antifa's playing chess. And my mother reminded me this morning that the devil is really smart. He's way smarter than you think, and he fools us all the time. They fooled us, but for a purpose. Now, what did they lose with this, besides credibility, which is what they were trying to lose? They wanted to not be taken seriously. But they lost some other things too, that either they willingly paid the price with this hoax and lost those things, or they were just ignorant to what might happen. Because I'm prepared now. You're probably prepared now. And this was a great drill for me. We practiced running, shifts, standing watch, sleeping in shifts all night on Friday night. We went into high alert really on Thursday. And, I won't have to buy groceries for 6 months, except for like milk and bread maybe. Only because I don't feel like baking the bread. I won't ever have to buy ammo again. The ammo can go up in price now. I don't really care. I don't need any more. I got a great rifle out of this. I'm going to make another video about how I misjudged the AK-47 because all the ones I had before were crap. And the one I got now, that's a tack driver. I'll do an AK video coming up. But, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know I will do the celebration video. And to those trolls out there, I will not be painting my face pink because they did show up. It was, they did have protests. And, it was not a nothing. Something happened. What we have to do now is analyze and find out exactly what happened. Is it because Antifa is incompetent? Is it because they're just full of talk and they can't follow through with any of their threats? Or was this a giant mind game with some specific goals and reasons for doing it? To find out who you are, to find out who I am, to measure the level of resistance they might face. It was also to discredit themselves. So if any whistleblower comes out now and says, hey, I saw Antifa hauling in crates of AK-47s, everyone will go, yeah, right, that November 4th thing again, you're stupid. Are they playing chess and we're playing checkers? Well, I'm on the chessboard now. I could be wrong. I will say this, I feel like we're winning on so many levels. Hollywood is falling, the music business is becoming unraveled. Predators of all sorts, from pedophiles to rapists, are being outed and not allowed to operate anymore in the open. That's a great thing. And, you know, the Democratic Party is crumbling in on itself. The book that came out, Brazil, the CNN reporter lady, with this book that just exposes that Hillary Clinton bought and paid for the DNC, and that, you know, the DNC is unfair and rigged and still probably completely owned and controlled by Hillary Clinton. It's the death of the Democratic Party. Not to say that people who have left-minded thinking won't find some other political vehicle, but the DNC is doomed. 2018 is going to be a disaster for you. If this stuff holds together long enough and we don't have a civil war before 2018, that election is going to be ridiculous. Hey, if you want to start a third party, you know, if the libertarians want to step up now and become a presence, Green Party, whatever, now's your chance. Third party, now, because now it's really just the second party, because the Democratic Party's toast. Those rhinos that have been holding up the system that really aren't in favor of the people, yeah, they've been exposed too. John McCain, yeah, you've been exposed. Absolutely. What happens next? The citizens are going to run for office in 2018. Regular Joes have a chance at winning. Shoot, I might run. I got too many skeletons. But I'm not, I'm not ashamed of blowing the whistle. I was doing my part as a good American and a good citizen to warn you of what I was seeing. And, as it turns out, we were played. It was a hoax with a purpose. So for them, it's mission accomplished. But the backfire is we're all prepped. I think most of us, even if we didn't take it seriously, we made some efforts to prepare. And I encourage you to keep this up. Keep up the preparation. Increase your preps. Because something is happening. Something is brewing. There is a civil war. It's just under the surface. It's in government. It's in Hollywood. It's in the music business. It's in the news business. And it's, now it's our business. And so stay vigilant. Stay prepared. And we're going to work this out and figure this out together, because it was a trick and it was a hoax, but it was a hoax with a purpose. All right, till next time. God save the Republic.